Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. In this video from a recent live event with my members only, we discuss soulbound reward cards and how it might open up the rewards for gamers at the lowest level of this game, introducing excitement and earning potential, but avoiding exploitability. And I think that's going to be key for our game to really thrive and grow. We need to be exciting, we need to have earning potential, and yet we need to not be exploitable. And so rethinking soulbound reward cards and rethinking how reward cards provide value to the player for your time and attention, in conjunction with a video I recently saw from Gathering the Magic, which we'll talk heavily about in this one. We're going to talk about card inflation and within Splinterlands, the economy of cards in this game. So I hope you'll stick around and stay tuned for this one. I think this is deeply important for us all to understand because soulbound reward cards are coming to the game, I think it's happening. And so I want to understand it. I want to think it through so we can anticipate problems and hurdles and red flags in advance so we can reach out to the community, to the developers and say, guys, be attentive to this concern. Stick around, stay tuned, like and subscribe. Have an amazing day. God bless. Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Gathering, thanks for popping in before you had to head out to work, buddy. Gathering did a video recently covering the solution for soulbound reward cards, and we're going to talk about this today. There's one of them though that I do definitely want to get into is kind of around what Gathering has covered recently, which is the soulbound reward cards. First of all, I think it's so important because I think they're coming. I think they're definitely coming to the game, and people argue it's going to ruin the game. They say it's either taking away the rewards that you are earning for your time and attention, which in some sense is true, but there's a broader conversation there. Or they say it's gonna crush the game because it'll mess with the print rates by essentially giving way more reward cards, because you're adding even more reward cards. Maybe there's these ones that we already have that we know about, which are over here on Kyokiz, you know, the Heatsmith and Exploding Rats, all of these normal reward cards, and then we also have these others, and then there's packs upon packs, and the implication is that there's just too many cards. And in some sense, that's true too. There's criticisms and critiques from a variety of angles. And I think there's merit to each of those criticisms. But I actually think there's a more nuanced conversation that leads us to an end result, which is soulbound reward cards in a certain context can be very powerful and a strong improvement to what we do with rewards in this game. And then Gathering came in and covered the issue of soulbound reward cards and said, look, if you're concerned about print rate, the thing is soulbound reward cards could be limited from a purchase perspective through your earning of a coin, which I think he called splinter coins or something. And the idea would be you get some of these coins through the chests that you earn. And if your chest was essentially if you were going to get a common reward card in a given chest, they could give you 1 splinter coin. If you were going to get a rare reward card, they could give you 5. If you were going to get an epic, they could give you 25, right? So the coins could be tied to the theoretical monetary value associated with the card that would have gone into that loot chest. And that's assuming I think that we just get rid of the reward cards that are issued now that are not soulbound. Like we stop making new non-soulbound reward cards and making them all soulbound. I'm not sure I think that's necessary. I actually think it might be interesting to have soulbound cards that are in addition to whatever the cycle of reward card is. So maybe there are Pellicor mercenaries, and maybe there are, Kinjos, and whatever comes next after it. As you can see, there's been 85 before, or I think 85 are hidden. So there's been dozens and dozens of reward cards that have come and gone that have really changed the game. I like that those come in and they can be essentially earned for your time. I like that that's a profit mechanism and opportunity. But then you got to bring in the bot thing, because then the bots are like exploiting these things and pushing the prices down. Maybe it's okay that those prices are dirt cheap because frankly, they're free. I don't know. I mean, there is conversations around inflation rate and Gathering's video really, I think probably resolved that. He called it like the solution to soulbound cards. And I think he might be right about that in the sense of if you were tied, if your amount of soulbound cards you were able to accumulate was tied to your time and attention through the chests you receive and the splinter coins you earn through those chests, then really a level of commitment and time invested is going to dictate how many soulbound cards you're able to achieve. And that's great. And then from the monetary perspective, you actually would get the monetary benefit of having extra utility, extra card power, something that allows you to have more CP, meaning fight at a higher level, and more rewards because you win more often because you have better cards. You have these alternative cards that others don't have. And lastly, Gathering's idea was that they would have these significantly beneficial reward point bonuses. So we know if you play an alpha or a beta or a gold foil, you get extra % on your win. And he says, what about these soulbound reward cards providing, I think he said, 10 or 15%, or, he even theorized maybe higher. And so I just wanted to see what I'm getting over here. I'm getting win streaks and focus cards and gold cards and alpha promo cards and beta cards and guild bonuses. Significant bonuses available if you play the right cards, and these soulbound reward cards could be part of that story. I like all of that. I guess my question is, and it comes down to a comment I got here on the channel. Let's read it here quickly. It's K Dream said, "You seem to have blind faith in them not hyperinflating the card supply. Where does this undying faith in them come from?" And there's actually, a couple angles we could go with that. Like there's a conversation around why do I have faith in this team? That's like almost a separate conversation. Suffice it to say, we've survived a bear market. They've done all the things that they said they were going to do from the earliest stages. Like at first there was not even a battle mechanic. At first there was not even a trading card mechanic. They built this out and added to it and grown the team, and the professionalism has improved and the servers have improved. And just the SPS was a promise to essentially allow us governance vote, but also to add value to the player rather than themselves. No one who looks at the SPS and sees what Splinterlands, the team, did with SPS or with the DAO can say that they have reason to lack faith in at least their heart around doing this well. You might say that they lack certain, you might accuse them of lacking business acumen, or you might accuse them of not really getting something about economy. I would probably fight you on that. But from the perspective of, where their hearts are at and where they're aiming at, they've shown time and time again that they are telling us where they're going, and they're aiming to the best of their ability at that target. And they've, in the SPS DAO alone, we were talking millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency that the owners had keys to, and they decided to give that to us. They said they would, and then they did. And yes, it's in a DAO, and yes, SPS stakeholders have the control of that. So you might argue that's just whales and benefiting. Wrong. It's the community benefiting. It's a level of authority, and it's a degree of scrupulousness, like an honor that they said, we will give this to the community. We will make it decentralized. We will give it into a DAO, and then you guys can do with it what you want. Of course, they are part of that community. They can vote with their own SPS and staked weight and control part of that conversation, or that what happens with it. But dude, that is a major reason why we have faith in Splinterlands as a team. And then circling back and focusing more on this is where I really want to spend maybe 10 minutes here, guys, like moving forward. I feel like it's a continuation of that conversation with Gathering and what Gathering raised in his solution to soulbound reward cards, because he talks specifically through that Splinter coin idea about how cards could be, you wouldn't have to worry about print rate. You wouldn't have to worry about hyperinflation of the card supply, which is this guy's concern. And so I think Gathering is really onto something. And I guess I'm wondering for myself and I'd love to see thoughts from, whoever's hanging out today, around, can we do some combination where there are reward cards that the community receives that they earn through play that are liquid and sellable, and introduce a soulbound component that is perhaps tied to, I always forget the phrase now, man. What's it called? When you buy a season pass. Can we get some component of soulbound benefits that are card related, that have great utility and desire, that are desirable? Whether, skins is part of that for sure, but also and other aesthetic things like maybe screensavers or desktop images or NFTs that are not functional in the game. There's lots of things you could do that are just aesthetic in nature, but I mean literally, can we incorporate some degree of soulbound reward card from, like, I probably think a KYC season pass and still hold some degree of reward card without risking what he is calling hyperinflation of card supply. And then we do need to bring into that conversation, what about the packs? We've talked about how they're going to do a main issuance of packs every year. That's like a Untamed or, the equivalent Chaos Legion. And then later in the same year, they're going to do the dice, or what we now are doing, Rift Watchers. And so Rebellion will be a main one, and then there'll be a smaller one. That's going to be the rhythm, with a 3-month break is the aim. 3-month silence period where there are no packs. There's so much going on in this conversation where we could go down to 15 different rabbit holes and spend 5 hours talking about this, but it's actually I think it's really, really important to understanding how we can handle cards in this game without going to a place where it breaks the economy, and yet incentivizes people to play through these changes and maybe grows the number of players playing the game. And so I do think cards being liquid is important, because I do think it is part SPS, though it's great and amazing and you should want it, and I love getting it, and whether it's 0.1 or 100, every time I'm super glad I get SPS. I'm so convinced it's gonna be worth way more. If you look at it from the retroactive perspective, like 3, 4, 5 years down the road, every one SPS that you're stacking now through earning through play, I think you're going to be absolutely blown away by what that's able to do for you monetarily. And so that's amazing and exciting. But in the meantime, a lot of players can't afford to play the game, but through the rewards they're earning and then selling and then reinvesting, whether it's to buy extra cards or to rent. And so we do want a certain amount of those players. We want newer people who don't necessarily have huge, 5,000, 1,000. I frankly think $500 can get you a good start in this game. But not everybody has $500 to play a video game. And so what would it look like to allow some degree of liquid rewards, and recognizing, though SPS is amazing, it's not really liquid. You got to take a week to unstake 25% of what you earn. It's barely liquid. Yes, in some sense it is, but there's a lot of stipulations around that. And so I like that cards are sellable. I like that cards are non-soulbound. I like that that's received through your play and your effort. But bots will exploit that. And I also like that the team, will not try and bring out ban hammers for bots, because one, you don't necessarily know who's a bot always. Yes, sometimes you're going to say this account is obviously a bot. Yeah, sure. But that's just, in my mind, is the antithesis of what blockchain is supposed to be. It's supposed to be, decentralized. It's supposed to, meaning there's no key authority that says you're gone, you're gone, you're gone, you're okay, you're cool, you're cool, you're cool. I won't finish that, but that's a movie reference from Half Baked. But like decentralized governance, and then anyone can do it with anonymity. That's also really key to blockchain. And so that's where my heart's at. And I know that's where the team is at. Now, there's probably a wave of players that care nothing about any of that. And maybe it would be financially in the best interest of the game long term to steamroll people like me, maybe, and say, no, to heck with all that anonymity and, whatnot. We want KYC on every account. If you don't, you can't play. That would be very standard to Web 2.0, right? You have to log in, you have to give your email, you have to verify your email, you take a friggin' picture of your passport. That's the sort of nonsense that can come. But then I think you get into a totally, I don't like that, man. I don't like Big Brother. I don't like oversight. I don't like big, government overseeing, and you can do this, you can't do that. And so right or wrong, my view is that I want the sort of the limited government that Splinterlands the team has already been offering, meaning that we will never ban hammer bots. And so we've got in that world, if that's going to be the case, in that world, we need to navigate through these reward cards possibly being hyperinflated and sold by these accounts that are earning them through bot play, and yet incentivizing new players to play. And I don't know how to navigate that tension perfectly. I think the black and white answer is like, just do away with the reward cards. And like Gathering said, make them all soulbound and then use these coins that you earn through your time. I think that would be an amazing reward. I love this idea. I really love it because it does reward you for your time. It's giving you extra collection power. It's giving you extra ability to win games, which increases your amount of rewards paid, plus these bonuses from the reward cards he's talking about. All of that is awesome. The question for me is, can we still keep printing regular reward cards that are sellable without doing this hyperinflation thing? And I'm to K Dream and to you guys, I want to say, I don't know. I don't know. I think it needs to change. I think K Dream says you have blind faith in them not hyperinflating the card display. Where does this underlying faith come? Well, the faith comes from how I've seen them handle things before. But then, I don't think it's blind faith at all. I think that's not at all true. I gave you, I articulated why it's not blind, why it's justified. But then, the question for me is it possible to avoid hyperinflation of card supply? And I think yes, the answer, it's a definitive yes. But will they? I'm like mostly sure they will. And that's good enough for me. I mean, I've got tens of thousands of dollars invested in this game. But just being perfectly honest with you, I'm not blind faith convinced that this is going to go perfectly and that they're going to navigate the economy of cards extremely well forever. It's possible that even, I think we've seen with Chaos Legion, that they sold too many packs. Then with Rift Watchers, they released that too quickly. And then with Rift Watchers, they even tried to reprice with the DEC and the what's it called? The peg value. All of that to me is indicative of some mistakes that occurred there. And K Dream might feel that those are critical missteps that imply a failure of governance and a failure of vision that translates to an ultimate failing of the card supply by creating too many packs. I think I could push back and say, look, they're burning Chaos Legion packs. That's part of governance, decentralized governance, by the way, which we've come to as a community. And then that's going to pull that issue back from what might have been a brink. But even if you left, I think truly, even if we left 15 million Chaos Legion packs, it would have been fine long term. They would have sold eventually. They would have burnt eventually, meaning opened. And those cards would have been consolidated eventually. Maybe that would have been many, many months or years. I don't have any doubt that a large supply of assets in this game will eventually be consolidated into few hands, because that's how games like this work, and that's how people like me operate. If you recognize value, you're going to keep doubling down and doubling down and doubling down, while people like perhaps K Dream let their concerns and doubts, hold them back. And I shouldn't say that. I don't know K Dream's situation. Maybe he's balls deep on the investment train for Splinterlands. I definitely don't mean to undermine his authority by saying something like that. I just mean, I know what I'm doing because of the confidence I walk in through that faith that is totally thoughtful and justified. And then from the hyperinflation perspective, they could do that. I'll admit it. They could. If you released it 150 million Chaos Legion packs, and that would have serious ramifications for the value, the ultimate value for Chaos Legion packs or Chaos Legion cards. But whether they end up being priced at, for instance, one Chaos Legion packs cost $4 right now, right? Whether they ultimately end up being priced at $40 per pack, or whether they end up ultimately being priced for $8 per pack, I feel 100% convinced that even assets such as Chaos Legion, which were arguably printed far too commonly, there are way too many copies released, printed, created, I think even those will appreciate significantly. I'm talking double, but even if you bought them now, you're talking $1.50 per pack, and turning that into $8 is what, 5x or something like that. And so That's my view on the appreciation of packs is so based on the underlying deflationary nature. And it doesn't matter if you made 150 million packs or if you made 15 million packs or made 150,000 packs. In one sense, it doesn't matter in the sense that they will appreciate with time. The question is not will they appreciate, but how much will they appreciate, or where's the starting point and where is the end point? Because if you made 150 million packs, the price point's like 10 cents or something like that. And then it doubles into, maybe goes to $1 at some point. If you made 15 million packs, the price was $4. Now it's $1.50. It goes, I think it's going to be $8, $10, more maybe at one point in the future. And so I see magnifications of growth and appreciation because of the deflationary nature of the assets themselves, because of the increased and always intentional new utility for the assets themselves. Looking at rank battle rewards, looking at guild brawl battles and the rewards associated with that, looking at tournaments and how that continues to grow, looking at land and the vision for how cards will be put on there, looking at tower defense and how your cards will be able to partner with that and earn rewards. That's 5 things I just threw out there right off the top of my head. And I'm so certain, again, not because of blind faith, but because of past experience and confidence growing out of what the team has already done, that they will continue to build new utility into these older assets, including Chaos Legion. And so this issue around hyperinflation, though it's a risk, you have to come to a decision as to how you feel the team is going to handle, how they've handled past circumstances and hurdles, and how you think that'll translate into their future success or, losses. And I come to that conversation with confidence out of having seen them survive a bear market and having seen them be so true and honorable to what their vision that they outlined, months and years before they executed. And so, is it possible that they hyperinflate? Yes. Is it possible that some of the assets already are in a position where it's the hyperinflated? Maybe some of these reward cards. There are huge print rates on these things. But again, the question is, in my mind, not, are there too many of these assets? The question is, can they appreciate from their lows due to their deflationary nature? That is the core thesis of my entire value proposition for Splinterlands. Can these assets appreciate from their lows due to their deflationary nature or not? And I think there's 100% likelihood of that fact. So then you just need to figure out where is the low and acquire those assets or earn those assets through time and attention. Acquire them at low prices or earn them for free through your time and attention. And so I guess I want to just finish that conversation around this idea of, I hope we're able to imagine a way where reward cards are issued for free through your time and effort playing the game. And simultaneously where possibly a KYC, season pass, where you're going to start earning splinter coins in some of your chests. Maybe for every 10 chests, you get 1 splinter chest or something, and it has tokens in it. And those tokens can be, common, rare, epic, or legendary, and that would associate with X number of splinter coins. And then those could be used to buy off a marketplace of cards, whatever card you wanted. That's Gathering's idea. And I like that. Rather than just getting stuck with random BCX of whatever, you go into the market and you start shopping. I have X number of splinter coins. I want this card. I want this card. I want this card. And he talked about how certain reward cards would be old and maybe taken off the market. But what about even like in games like Apex, I'll tell you that they have old cards, like, they have old skins that are from years ago that they'll occasionally bring back. And on a limited window, you can spend your coins to get that thing, which how cool would it be if you could get Selenia Sky off the marketplace for, say, splinter coins, but it was like for a 1-week term. And you had to go, obviously, unless you had been saving up splinter coins through your effort in playing the game, you would have to go out and buy those splinter coins. And then he talked about how that could be a DEC or SPS sync. I love that idea. And I love this sort of, and these would be soulbound. So the idea, even if it is super powerful, it's tied to your account and it reflects that effort that you put in by indicating how many chests you earned, because that how many chests you earned is indirectly related to how many coins you received. Now, of course, you could buy others, but like I said, that's great too because it's an SPS and a DEC sync. So there was a lot there, and I feel like we talked about 5 different angles, but I think that conversation is so complicated because you're not just talking about reward cards, you're actually talking about all cards, packs, big major packs and minor packs. You're talking about the number of players in the game and the desirability for the players at a lower level as well as a higher level. Talking about new players with little funding and big whales with mega funding. You're talking about, KYC versus, total anonymity with blockchain. There's so many nuanced conversations in there. And yet it all needs to be brought together in this way where hopefully we can understand it in a fuller way, and our community can make informed decisions around these things, because this conversation is coming to a head, and we will have a vote around soulbound reward cards in some way, shape, or form. And hopefully videos like this one and Gathering the Magics can help people see the nuance of a situation like this so that we can make informed votes on these major issues. I'm going to pop in now. That was a 30-minute rant, but that was one thing I wanted to talk about today, guys. So thank you for listening to that one. And I'd love, if you've got comments or questions on that, I'd love to see that. I'm definitely going to reach out to Gathering on this issue because I want to hear his thoughts. I really enjoyed his video. After you should go watch his video. I think it's called Solutions to the Soulbound Reward Card Problem or something like that. It was a great video. Hit full of great ideas. I think my only question for him is he saying all reward cards need to be soulbound, or is he saying that we would have some free to like through play and then others that would be strictly soulbound? I don't know. Yeah, so reward card vouchers. Yeah, kinda. Reward card vouchers. That's the idea. He called them Splinter coins. And the idea every Splinter coin could buy you a card. And it would be like an economy where, just imagine 1 BCX of a common costs you 1 Splinter coin. And call a Splinter coin would be roughly 5 cents worth of US dollar value. Roughly, right? Meaning that 1 BCX of these soulbound reward cards might be valued at roughly 5 cents, give or take US dollar, imagining, that value. And you need 400 copies. So you need 400 coins. You can buy those coins from the marketplace and top up that card for yourself if you really want. But that would require you to burn SPS or DEC. And that would be great for the flywheel of this economy. And he talked about how hyperinflation around these assets would be irrelevant because there wouldn't be, there's no saleable nature of this, right? You can't flood the market with this. You can earn it and use it if you want, but that's not going to affect the hyperinflation of card economy, which is really smart. It's actually true, and it's really smart. It can't flood the market because they literally can't reach the market.